Hey, this is Michelle, and you're listening to Words with Michelle, the podcast, a show where I sit down and have conversations with influencers on a range of topics, anything from natural hair, employment, discrimination, food, relationships, and everything in between. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. If you want to send me an email, hit me up at michelle@wordsmichelle.com. Thanks for tuning into the latest episode of Words with Michelle, the podcast. Honestly, August has been the craziest month of the year so far. In the past 31 days, I've edited and fine-tuned my book while working on my podcast, doing interviews and editing, trying to manage my social media, and holding down a part-time job. Your girl's been busy. But not too busy to interview a person that I featured on my blog over 9 years ago. I interviewed him, but not in person. I sent him the questions and he filled them out, and I was able to create a blog post. So a month ago, I saw him online posting information about his upcoming Soundbites retreats that focus on creative and professional development. You know, your girl had to shoot her shot and ask for an interview. And he said yes. My guest for today's show is Roger Mooking, TV host and chef on the Food Network, as well as a talented musician and artist. But before I get into the show, I would like you to know that this episode is sponsored by my upcoming book, Words with Michelle, Inspirational Conversation with Today's Black Canadian Changemakers. Words with Michelle, Inspirational Conversations with Today's Black Canadian Changemakers is a book that was inspired by my blog and podcast. I speak with contemporary Black Canadian changemakers who share lessons about their success, which I in turn use to pursue my goals. I share how I used their lessons correctly, incorrectly, and not at all, and what the consequences were. It will be available at Word on the Street in Toronto on September 28th and 29th. Hope to see you there. It is also available on Amazon. Now back to the show. Speaking with Roger Mooking felt so familiar, like we knew each other. Not sure if it's because he's a really chill guy or because he's a Trini and foodie like me, but when you listen to the show, we clearly were having fun. You'll hear us laughing a lot. You also hear the absolute joy in my voice talking with Roger, because I'm a legit fan. I've watched all of his shows on the Food Network, and I knew about his rap group in the 90s, so your girl was geeking out. After I finished laughing, we started the interview and spoke about Roger's series of retreats. He speaks about their focus and why he started them. It wouldn't be a Words with Michelle interview if I didn't ask about food. So I asked him what his favorite Trini dish is and what his comfort food is. By the way, I asked him these questions 9 years ago too. Let's welcome Roger Mooking to the show. I asked him to introduce himself. Welcome to the show, Roger. Can you just tell us a bit about you?
I don't know. My name is Roger Mooking. I don't know. I'm a chef. I do music. I make art. I do experiences, art gallery exhibits, restaurants, TV shows, blah, 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 for many, many moons.
Yes, so you are being very, I guess not coy, but you're being very humble. We've seen you forever, for the longest time, and appreciated your music, your food, and then also your restaurant in the airport. No, like you have Twist.
Yeah, I got Twist in the airport, which has been amazing. We're looking to expand stuff around airports, and so that's really interesting and exciting right now as well. So just there's lots, man. There's lots on the go.
Yeah, and we see you on TV. And like I said, I watch all your shows. I'm there watching the barbecue. I'm watching men food fight. Like I'm watching all of it. Like I'm telling you, I'm a foodie, so I know you better than you know you on TV. On TV. Like seriously, I've seen it all, and I continue to watch it. So this is like a major. I'm really excited about this. But what I wanted to talk to you about is about your retreat, the Soundbites Retreat. If you could tell us a bit about that and why you started that.
So I made this album last year, I think it was, we dropped, called Soundbites. And so Soundbites is a celebration of chaos in an attention deficit world. So it's response to kind of the generation that we're in, the era that we're in right now, where the average human attention span is less than that of a goldfish at 8.25 seconds, right? This is from a study in 2015. So it's not good. Like that's not a good thing, right? So outside of that, I made this album called Soundbites, and so no song is longer than 1 minute and 30 seconds. It's all a response to attention deficit, trying to capture an audience in very short snippets. So when I made that, then I realized it needed a little bit more context. So then I started writing some short stories with the same sort of short form factor of 100 words. And then there was a song and a story to go with every piece. Then, unbeknownst to anybody, and I promised that I would never release it publicly, I've been like painting and photography and stuff on the side for like the last decade or so, and, just in my house. And I decided to finally unleash some of my visual work. And so now each song not only has a micro story, but it each has a visual component to it that pairs together. So that ended up being a book called Curious Sounds that was co-authored with Francesca Ekweyasi, and that's out now everywhere. And then I ended up selling it to the Art Gallery of Hamilton. So we're going to be launching the Soundbites exhibit September 7th, 2024 till February 23rd, 2025. So I'm doing like an art exhibit, an art gallery exhibit. It's crazy. And so it's fully immersive and interactive. It has music, it has the stories, it has the visuals, and it's very chaotic. There's video installations, all kinds of stuff all over the place. So as part of that, I created these Soundbites retreats for emerging artists, which stand on the three pillars of the mediums that I'm using in Soundbites, which is visual arts, music, and literature. And so the Soundbites retreats, we bring 25 emerging artists. We pick them up in a bus at the Art Gallery of Hamilton. They drive up out here to Rocklands Market. It's 2 hours north of Toronto. It's a retreat facility that I have out here. And out at Rocklands Market, we do a full day of activities. So, we have the publisher of Random House. We have story mentors. We have, Grammy Award-winning producers and managers on the music side. We have the president of the Art Gallery of Hamilton and the artists. And so all these are facilitated with creative retreats as well as the business of that creative retreat and form everybody together. And I stand behind all of that stuff as the creator of the Soundbites exhibit, but also we do a culinary component to it because I believe that the family that eats together is the family that stays together. So this is about building community, creating a networking opportunity, creating an exposure opportunity for emerging artists, but also giving them the creative and professional development skills that they need to be successful as artists,
That's nice. So you're really giving back to like people who want to get into the business. That's really beautiful.
Well, I think it's a few things, like nobody exists in a bubble. It's very isolating. A lot of artists create in a bubble, but to be able to execute and to continue to create, it's hard to do that in a bubble. You need to create a community, like with everything, And so I'm just trying to foster and build community, put other artists in front of other artists who may be just toiling away in their room or their studio endlessly and not seeing anybody, and understand that there's other people out there like them who are doing this, who may have the same concerns, and they need the same creative and professional guidance to make them the best that they can be. So as much as it is giving those creative and professional tools, it's also about making sure that other artists get to meet other artists and they can network.
Where do you see this going then? I mean, did you just started this? You just started the retreats. Do you have like a 5-year plan, or do you want to take in a different direction, or you want to keep?
Well, at Rocklands here, we do tons of retreats. We do financial literacy and culinary retreats. We do wellness retreats, yoga retreats, writing retreats, arts retreats. So we do a lot of different types of retreats here.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're kind of in the wheelhouse of that. We're an event facility and studio here. So, sometimes we're shooting music videos in here. We're using it as an art studio, art gallery, hosting corporate events, parties, weddings, that kind of stuff. But the core of what we do, because I'm really passionate about it in community building, is building these retreats. So Soundbites is one of those retreats that stands on the pillar of one of the things that I have started, with the gallery exhibit and the book and the album and the stories and the visuals.
So that's really cool. Actually, I should have gone back to that. Like the fact that you were producing all this art. Did you, I mean, like I didn't realize that you were such an artist in all facets of it, like a visual artist. I mean, I know you do you're singing, but I didn't did you paint or draw as a child, or is this a new thing? Because you said
Yeah, I used to draw as a kid. Like I grew up in Edmonton, so I grew up in Edmonton during the Gretzky era, right? So
Mhm,
I was super into hockey. So I used to like draw the hockey cards. I'd stand there and like, with a
mhm,
blank piece of paper and just kind of draw the hockey cards or, draw just draw things in the environment and stuff like that. But I really fell in love with cooking, and that kind of distracted me from all of that stuff for a long time. And then, I had some fairly traumatic things that happened at later points in my life. And
mhm,
so, unbeknownst to me, for some reason, I just felt compelled to go to an art studio and pick up a bunch of canvases and paints and brushes and just start moving paint around. And I just started moving paint around on these canvases, just over a decade ago. And after a while, I started to like what I saw. I was really just doing it therapeutically. I found it so calming and healing. Um, and something that was just for me. So I just kept doing that and I diving into that, and it was really cool. And then the stuff started to look really good. And before you know it, here it is out into the world doing a gallery exhibit. It's so crazy. My life is crazy, Michelle.
You know what? That's art therapy though, because I didn't know what art therapy was like about 10 years ago, or actually over 10 years ago. And I did the same thing. Like when I was going through something, I actually went into started making jewelry. I made necklaces, bracelets, and I didn't know. I just did it because it was calming me down. But exactly what you said. I mean, it's art therapy. It makes you feel better. And then you looked at it and like, this is awesome. Why not share it with the world?
Yeah, well, I always found I had that with music, right? Like music is it probably still is my premium outlet for artistic
Mhm,
expression and therapy like that.
mhm.
And writing the words and playing the music and producing all that kind of stuff. Um, but then I just kind of like started dabbling in other things and trying different things because I needed something that was just for me, right? I would always do music for me, and then you put it out into the world. So I had vowed that and then I was cooking always for me. And then I started, became really well known for cooking or, different things that I was doing. I turned every one of my hobbies into some aspect of a profession. So I said that I would never release the art because this one is just always for me. But, here we are. Life is funny.
Yeah. So getting back to your cooking then, like seeing you on the Food Network and man, I love your life. Like I love the fact with Man and Food Fire, like I just love the fact that you travel the world or travel the state. Is it primarily the states? For
Mostly the States. We'll do like, Hawaii, which is also the States. We've done like Costa Rica, Jamaica, a couple select places, but primarily the States.
how did your career evolve then? Because I know we know what you started with, and how did you get to get further and further and do more and more with the Food Network?
With the Food Network specifically, or just generally?
Okay, both. Let's just do both.
So generally, like, I'm just ADD. Like I was diagnosed ADD and hyperactive when I was like 8 years old, right?
Yeah.
But back then they never used to do anything about it. They just be like, go run around in the woods and like, like stuff.
Yeah.
So you learn to become a very functional attention deficit person. And so for me, it was just very natural to go to the kitchen, then go to the studio, then go write a story, and then
Mhm.
go draw a
Okay.
picture, and then go to then go to the restaurant, like. So that was really natural for me, and I always dipped in and out of these different mediums. So I guess I just lived my life, and the business circulated around my life. So there was no strategy. I just did what I had to do to take care of myself and take care of those people around me and try and do beautiful things. And here we are still.
Okay, I'll ask you a different
Really,
question.
no strategy, Michelle. Like actually,
Okay.
no.
Okay, so
Pure emotion, pure heart, pure. I need to write the story right now. Like it's like
it's funny seeing you got ADHD because I feel like I have it too. Like honestly, so I get it. I completely get it. But what I wanted to ask you, how important is it to infuse your culture into your food and business?
yeah, well, I come up in a family like my grandfather came from China, ended up in the Caribbean. Like my mother's got roots in Scotland and
Oh.
Spain and the Carib Indians and the West Indies, like African diaspora. Like my family is like all over the place, like within only a couple generations, right?
Mhm.
So I always grew up in a household where we would have like dim sum for breakfast, we'd have roti for lunch, and then we'd have like Vietnamese pho for dinner, right? And I thought everybody lived like that. And I experienced the world first through food like that. And so I always just kind of, that's just what I know and what I live. And so when it had the opportunity to start to do my own recipes in restaurants as the head chef, I was making sure that I was always touching these touch points that were really common to me, and bringing all those worlds together. The secret is that the all the food stuff you see me doing is not really never been about the food. I've always just used the food as a tool, a vessel to connect people. That's really what my whole mission is using the food or the music or the art, as mediums to connect people.
That's amazing. I mean, actually, everything there is amazing, but also just that meal you said, just because it's so different. Like you said, you start off with dim sum, roti, and do you know what I mean? That in itself is it means it's really deep. It's kind of profound though, because you'll always be open minded because your day was just so it
How
dipped
it
on different
is. Yeah.
things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was always open to experience whatever because my mouth was experiencing whatever all day, every day,
Exactly.
right? And so
Yeah.
that stuff penetrates your physiology.
Yeah. I mean, and you are a Trini again. So of course your food's going to be a mixture. I mean, you part of your heritage is from Trinidad. So it touches
I'm
on
born in Trinidad. I'm born in Trinidad.
nice. Okay, okay, so I have to ask, what's your favorite? Okay, even though I know chefs hate this question, please don't hate me for asking you this.
Oh, it's okay.
No, because chefs hate this. I've been told this. What's your favorite Trini dish? I'll make it just Trini dish.
My favorite Trini dish.
Yeah, I
Uh,
gotta say Trini. Not everything, because
so Trinidad and Tobago, or
you
just Trini.
okay,
If you ask me,
Trinity and Tobago.
I would have to say is crab and dumpling.
You are Trinity.
Crab and dumpling is just curry crab and dumpling is just ridiculous.
Okay, okay, so then Trinity then. I wanted to hear okay, so that's Trinidad and Tobago. So then what about just a straight Trinity then?
Just straight Trini. I really love Polori. I love Polori. I
I
also
like it
love curry
too.
goat. Curry goat and Polori. Two separate things, but it's a hard one to pick.
And a Trini comfort food. What would that be?
My comfort food is actually Vietnamese pho.
Okay, nice.
I just love pho, so I could eat pho every single day. Like it's
Wow.
probably good for your heart, but I could eat that every single. I love it so much. I just feel something about it. I just feel so connected to it and so
Mhm.
satisfying. And I always leave feeling great when you have a great bowl of pho. So that actually is one of my number one comfort foods. That and a goat roti.
I'll tell you what my comfort food is then. I'm always waiting for people to say what their comfort food is. I love it. I like to not judge it, but I like to. Okay, my comfort food, train comfort food, is bacon saltfish. That's my comfort food. That's
Oh, yo,
my.
I'm making that at the next retreat. At the
Are you
retreat.
serious?
Yeah, you gotta come. I'm making saltfish buljol and bake.
Okay, when I start talking about food, I get way too excited, so I have to rein it back in and get back on track. So I asked Roger to talk a bit more about his upcoming projects. Was there
Well, I
something?
have this art gallery exhibit that is at the Art Gallery Hamilton from September 7th to February 23rd, 2025 is my very first solo art exhibit. Like we're
Wow.
taking over a gallery in an art gallery. I never imagined in my wildest dreams that this would happen. It's an interactive thing, so show up with some headphones with the phone because the music connects to the visuals, connects to the stories. It's interactive, it's immersive. You can interact with things. Um, so I'm really excited about that. So please come check that out. And we have a whole bunch of other activities around that. We have a music, art, and food festival. So I'll be doing an artist talk on September 19th. I'm doing a community finale dinner on October 6th. We're doing a vinyl night. So this stuff is all going to be on the Art Gallery Hamilton website. So you can check that out. But and my socials will be sharing it as well. So I'm really, really excited about that. And we just dropped a new show that I do with Amazon and Amazon Live called Breaking Bread with Roger Mooking. Our first episode was with Cardinal. We're shooting our second episode with a Grammy Award-winning singer tomorrow. And then in a couple weeks, we're shooting this legend of legends. I'm not even gonna, this is like some
Okay, don't tell me.
iconic figure in world history. Like,
Okay, you can't tell me? Oh God, I want to know so bad.
I tell you, I can't
Maybe
tell
when
you
we,
what. Amazing. So yeah, there's lots on the go, lots on the go. The Soundbites album is out on all streamers right now.
okay, cool.
So that's really cool. The book Curious Sounds is out in stores. Um, yeah, it's lots of fun
Everybody's
stuff.
doing everything. So you have no one, you're doing everything. You're hitting every medium. I love it.
Well, I told you I'm ADD, and like I don't believe in this concept of just limiting your life to one
Mm,
limited bandwidth like that. We contain multitudes, so why don't we take advantage of our own multitudes and exploit our own multitudes before somebody else exploits them on our behalf?
wow. That's words to live by. That is so true. So then how can we get a hold of you? That's my
Yeah, all socials at Roger Mooking. It's very simple. At Roger Mooking for everything. My website, my social, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, all the things.
Oh my God, it's
Yeah.
such a pleasure. I can't believe it's taken me 10 years for us to finally meet.
Well, that's good. It's a pleasure to meet you
Oh
too.
my
I
God, I'm
hope.
so excited. Like I'm so happy. So
So,
thank
yo,
you.
make sure you register. Come down September 7th, okay?
I will definitely. Oh my God, that
I
weekend.
got that saltfish. The saltfish bulljaw is gonna be crazy and the bake.
I'm coming for that. Are you still there? Are you still listening? Well, guess what? You've now accessed the added clip. I pretty much geeked out on this. I totally fangirled and told Roger what dish he made on one of his TV shows that I totally obsessed with and wanted to try. Listen up. I was watching all of your shows. I've seen everything that have done. And the funny thing is, me and my sister watched you when you made I think you made stewed chicken. This is like everyday exotic, by the way.
Stew chicken, yeah.
But the thing is, you put plantain in it. And I'm like, what? That was great. That you don't do it like that? And I'm like, we were licking the TV screen when we saw that. We saw them like game changer, game changer. Because we never put plantain in it before. And then
I know, right? It's like you always try it. You gotta try a thing. You know what I mean?
I was just like, you know what? Like we sat there and that's how long ago this is, right? This is 10 plus years. So we were sitting there and we're like, oh my God, I can taste it though. Like I can taste that sweet, I can taste the sweet plantain up in there. Like that was it for me. I'm like, that is it. Yeah, that was it. That plantain in the stewed chicken was insane. So thank you for that. I gotta
Yeah,
steal
bless.
that. That was
Yeah,
so
bless,
good. Thank
bless,
you. But
bless.
I mean, okay, I can go on and on, but I have to do some business right now. So thanks for joining me for the latest episode of Words with Michelle, the podcast. If you enjoy the podcast, I'd love for you to subscribe, rate, and give a review on Apple Podcasts. Just a reminder, you can subscribe to the podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you have any questions or would like to provide feedback, or if you'd like to be a guest on the show, you can email me at michelle@wordswithmichelle.com. You can also email me if you have inquiries regarding sponsoring the show. Thanks for listening. Until next time, bye.